जिंदगी कितनी खूबसूरत है, कितनी खुशियाँ, कितने रंग, इतने सारे मौसम, एहसास खुले आसमान का, हर कदम पर कोई साथ, सर पर कोई बोझ नहीं, दिल में कोई डर नहीं। जिंदगी कितनी खूबसूरत है।
Sarah?
Oh, darling.
Crash is cut.
Oh, go ahead. Here,
You're
here,
right.
here, here.
Sit down. You asked me, it's a bloody rip-off. £1,000 for an overcooked meal and a dry hump on the dance floor. But still, we're all getting drunk for a good cause, right? Cheers!
Get him out of here. It's a bit difficult. We've got to do something.
£20 a head, right there. Divvy room rental, maybe another 20. 30 on catering. It's got to be 50 quid on overhead. There you go, Jojo. That's your cut. Oh, I'm sorry, you haven't met. This is Jojo. Actually, he's curious about your dinner, because when I met him, he was so hungry, he was trying to eat his own tongue. Funny enough, they don't do Caesar salad with that. No, listen, I'll be honest, and I do want to be honest. He was a pile of bones in a pool of shit. And I don't mean civilized shit either. This was the yellow stuff. Liquid fucking evil. Anyhow, I've got 2,000 kids in my camp in Africa with the same problem, and some fucking arsehole here has pulled my funding, so I guess I'm just gonna have to feed them flies. Now, Jojo here, he wanted to know why, so I showed him this. Due to the repressive political climate, we can no longer sustain a relief presence in communist-supported Ethiopia. Is that a fair description, Larry? Or did you want a more positive spin?
All right, Dr. You've said your piece. Now you can leave.
Why don't you come up here? Come on, the kid just wants to hear it in words he can understand. 2,000 lives, what does that buy you? New car? New pair of tits for the wife? Well, come on, don't be shy. I've got a camp with 30,000 people dying at 40 a day. I've got measles, typhoid, cholera, every miserable fucking disease known to man. 6 weeks from now, they'll all be dead. Come on, talk to me. Oh, I get it. It's the monkey joke, right? You want him to go, hoo, 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 for you, yeah? Oh, he'll do that. He'll do that for you. Jojo, nezem hezbi, hoo, 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 belalom. Adjoha. Adjoha. Hoo, 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 hoo. 300 calories in one banana, more than he gets in a day. He'll do whatever you want.
It is a fact that human mind is conditioned to believe and accept what it wants to and ignore what disturbs it. We just saw two sides of the same coin. Both are true. It's just that our perception of the same situation are different. A set of words may evoke happy memories in our mind, sitting in our comfortable homes. And yet, it takes on a whole new meaning for someone on the edge of starvation. We can love the heavy rain and burst into a joyful song. And another can be standing terrified, looking at his house being washed away in the torrential flood. Why is it that these other people can never be seen? Why is it that to us, they are invisible?
Okay, so very glad to be here with all of you, the youth and developed boys school. So namaste everybody. Can we do this well, please? May we have the light on, please? Namaste. May I request all of you to stand up, please? Let's do this well. For me, this is as sacred as Janaganama. Right? A lot of people think this is an Indian word, and I promise you it's not an Indian word because there was no concept called India at the time when this word was created. So it's nation agnostic. A lot of people think it's a Hindu word, but there was no concept called Hindu also when this word was created, many generations ago. So let's do this well. Namaste. All the boys behind, you are not standing up? You don't stand with Janaganamana? Okay, let's do this well. Namaste once again. Okay, thank you so much. Please sit down. I'll tell you why I start with Namaste wherever in the world I speak later. But before that, let me begin by asking you all of you a few questions. And if the answer is yes, I want you to stand up and say Ave loudly. Okay? If the answer is yes, you stand up and you say Ave loudly. If the answer is no, just keep sitting down. All of you are human beings? You have to stand up. Very nice. Stand up, stand up. Yeah. Some exercise, yeah? Okay, good. Please sit down. Are all of you citizens of India? Very nice. Excellent. Are all of you being highly educated? Very good. Excellent. Do all of you have comfortable homes and rooms to sleep in? Very good. Excellent. Brilliant. Please sit down. Okay. Do all of you know your fundamental rights? If you stand up, I'll ask questions. You know your fundamental rights? Okay? Okay. So I'll save you the imagine. Please sit down. Do all of you know your fundamental duties? Okay. Please sit down. You all said you are citizens of India. Do all of you know the motto of India? The mission statement of the motto? Yes or no? Tell me. Satyameva Jayate. Only the truth will triumph. Right? And do you see a lot of truth in India? Yes or no? The country runs on truth. Right? You will see it on all the news channels at prime time. Right? So a very warm welcome to all of you. And I'm going to share a few thoughts on the joy of giving with you. The joy of giving is a movement I started many years ago, which is around 2002. And in 2002, there was a bubble in India called India Shining. How many of you are aware of this slogan, which was there at that time? India Shining. And I was a little taken aback with this slogan because I said, how can you say India is shining when not one, not 100, not 1,000, but millions of children are dying of hunger? Not one, not 1,000, not 10,000. Millions of children are dying of hunger. And I said, it's time to show the people of urban India who think India is shining what the reality of India is. Right? Today, almost 18 years later, hunger has not gone down, but the country has a new slogan. It's called India Economic Superpower. And it challenges that how can India be a super economic power when children are still dying of hunger and the numbers have increased, they have not reduced. This is the truth of India. Satyameva Jayate. So in 2002, I wanted to show the people what the reality of India is. So we were researching several communities who live on the brink of poverty, and some of them are not even counted in the National Survey of India. You've seen some of the visuals in the film which we have played earlier. So we were showcasing communities to people of corporate India, that these are the communities that live in this country. And most of those communities, people in corporate India have not even heard of. People who are being highly educated in premier schools, they have not even heard of these communities. One of the communities is a community called the Musahar community. How many of you have heard of the Musahar community? Okay, very few people, right? Musahars are called Musahars because literally translated the word means rat eaters. Rat eaters. They eat rats to survive, to exist. Because they don't have food. It's not because it's a delicacy in a fine dining restaurant, but because they don't have food to eat. So they survive by eating mice. So we put communities like this together in a film called The Joy of Giving. And we started showing it in corporate India, in presentations that would make in companies, MNCs, PSCs, requesting people to get involved in the process of change. And that's what inspired me to start The Joy of Giving. So I'm going to share 3 key points with you. What inspired me to start Joy of Giving? I just shared that with you. Today, why I find no joy in the joy of giving. So I created the movement. I don't find any joy in the joy of giving because people, the joy of giving basically means to give a little money and earn some bragging rights that they're supporting a child in a child sponsorship program through some NGO. It's bragging rights. They're not really involved in the process of change. And then I tell you what is the real joy of giving and how it benefits people in a big way, right? So before going forward, let me show you another film as to what is happening under the garb of the joy of giving.
It could be said that the entire universe conspires to get a good deed done. But in the case of advertising creativity, one could argue that it conspires a lot more between the months of March to June every year. Powerful creative ideas start transforming the lives of many in need.
पिछले साल मार्च से जून तक रोज खाना मिलता था, यहाँ लोग आके दे जाते थे।
अच्छा खाना मिलता था।
तो हमसे पूछे मतलब मेरा नाम लेकर के कि बुधवा तुम जो है सो ये चिंदी का काम कब तक करेगा करके।
उसी रात से पढ़ाना शुरू कर दिया।
तो अप्रैल में जो है सो हम अंग्रेजी भी सीखना शुरू कर दिए।
2 महीना में ACL तक पहुंच गए।
पिछले साल अप्रैल के महीने में उन्होंने हमें एक टोपी पहनाया जिसे धूप में रखो तो रात को लाइट जलता है। तो रात में पिताजी लालटेन लेकर पकाने जाते थे तो इससे हमारी पढ़ाई नहीं रुकती थी।
These are selfless demonstrations of the fact that for every social injustice in this world, there's a copywriter and an art director who are determined to change it. The last vestiges of hope for a world consumed by commercial decay. It's 3 months of cockle-warming service to humankind.
फिर जून में खाना आना बंद हो गया।
फिर अचानक से जुलाई में जो है सब लोग पढ़ाना छोड़ दिया हम लोगों को।
जुलाई में मैंने मेरे भाई शंभू के लिए भी एक टोपी मांगी तो उन्होंने कहा टोपी वाला आइडिया तो 4 अवार्ड जीत गया जून में।
हमने ड्राइवर वाले भैया से पूछा तो उसने कहा टिफिन वाले आइडिया को तो अवार्ड मिल गया।
कोई लोयन मिल गया।
लोन मिला।
तो बोले कि जो प्रौढ़ शिक्षा का जो मतलब आइडिया है उसको गोल्ड मिल गया है।
आइडिया को गोल्ड मिल गया है।
चलो ठीक है जो भी मिल गया लेकिन अब हम क्या करें?
अभी 12 अक्षर के साथ गोटी खेलने का।
अब शंभू और मेरा रोज झगड़ा होता है टोपी को लेकर और पिताजी का पेट तो हमेशा खराब रहता है। हमने पूछा अब खाना कब मिलेगा?
उन्होंने कहा अगले साल सीजन पे।
Why change the world for the better for only 3 months of the year? If one Cannes Lions Festival a year can do so much good for 3 months, then 4 Cannes Lions Festivals a year can do good all through the year. It's that simple, and the world will be a better place for more than 3 months. Children will be clothed, they'll have bags, they'll have shelter, everyone will have an education. Oh, what a paradise this world will become. Beta, seasons के नाम बताओ?
समर सीजन, विंटर सीजन, रेनी सीजन, अवार्ड सीजन। ये आप अवार्ड के लिए बना रहे हो?
So that was a satirical take on what is happening under the garb of charity, CSR and so on. And we did this especially as a letter from Jerry, that is me, to Terry. Terry Savage is the chairman of Cannes Awards. And we said, why don't you organize the awards 4 times a year so that more companies and agencies start doing good only to get the award, if nothing else. That is the reality of what is happening under the garb of charity. And when I started The Joy of Giving, the basic premise was that it is not mindless, arrogant charity that is wanting in the world, but mindful, humble, social justice that is wanting in the world. So what do we mean by social justice? Social justice basically means fairness, equality, and egalitarianism for one and all. Equal opportunity, an equal playing field. Do we have an equal playing field for one and all in the world? If yes, please stand up and say Awe. Is the world an equal playing field for everyone? How many of you say Namaste in welcome? Do you say Namaste when you greet each other? Yes or no? No. You say, what's up, dude? Hey, bro. Right? Namaste is not so cool, right? It's a very uncool word. And a lot of people, when they enter the hotel also, they say Namaste to you at the front office. And sometimes if I have the time, I stop and I ask them, what's the meaning of Namaste? And they say it's a welcome greeting. And I tell them it's not a welcome greeting. It's all life and leadership lessons in one word. What does Namaste teach you? It teaches you humility. It teaches you vulnerability. It teaches you respect. It gives respect to each and every human being. Because each and every human being is equal. It teaches you equality. And this word was created in this part of the world, which is now called India. But somehow we don't practice it. Hence we don't know the lessons that it teaches. We don't see equality in this country. So the Musahib community comes from a community which is the lowest in the untouchables. So in India, you don't just have a hierarchy of Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras. Then in the Shudras you have highest untouchable, higher untouchable, middle untouchable, lower untouchable, lowest untouchable, and then the untouchable within the untouchable. And that's exactly what the truth of the country is, right? And that's the apathy that we live with as citizens of the world and citizens of India, that we do not see this invisible people. They are not even visible to us because we don't even know about them. And we live in this bubble like India shining, the world is a great place. And we get taken up by all these billionaire philanthropists who are doing CSR and stuff like that. And unfortunately, most of it is lip service. Most of it, mind you, is lip service. And this is not just me saying, and I was very happy around 5 years ago when Warren Buffett's son, Peter Buffett, said that most charity is just a guilt washing station. It's a guilt washing station. So now why do I say that? Why do I say apathy is very huge? Because you have people who are doing charity on television and feeding 2,000 children. I won't name the companies on this platform, right? But maybe if your imagination is good, you'll know what I'm talking about, right? So they feed 2,000 children while they have completely harmed environment in places in Odisha and Andhra. So how does that work? Where's the balance? You have a billionaire philanthropist from the United States of America who says, I've given all my money to charity, but under the garb of charity, there are clinical trials being done on poor people. This is a Supreme Court case, by the way. How does that work? You have actors who are being human, and yet they are not stood trial for their sins. How does that work? And we get misled by all this people. Because somewhere we also have this fetish for celebrity worship. So we won't go into what is exactly that person doing. The same person that we are worshipping, the same person that we are looking up to. And then we realize that these guys are doing everything wrong. And most of the media doesn't report it also. But these guys are also very big advertisers. So somewhere that was the reason I said that we need to educate people about what is happening under the garb of the joy of giving. And that's when I sent out a viral in 2017. Why I find no joy in the joy of giving. It went out and a lot of people got educated. How does it work that you say I'm educating 1,000 orphans in my school while you displace orphans to build a new mansion? There was an orphanage act. What did you do to all those orphans that you displaced? So the time has come to ask questions, and the time has come to ask people, hey, what are you really doing in the guise of charity? And that's the reason I say I find no joy in the joy of giving. Right? Now, the reason I also find no joy in what these philanthropists and celebrities are doing, because it is not the big, rich billionaires who are changing the world because they give less than 1% of their money to make a difference. But it is the poor, ordinary people who are making a big difference. The unsung heroes. And I had the opportunity to meet one such unsung hero. How many of you heard of Dashrath Manjhi? So I had the pleasure of meeting this man in 2002, and I can proudly tell you I had the privilege of breaking bread with this man, eating food with him, sitting on a charpoy. You can see me, I'm 6 feet 4 inches tall. Dashrath Manjhi must have been 5 feet 1 inch to 5 feet 2 inches, right? I come from the same community called the Musahar community. I met him in a place called Gehlor, and he was trying to tell me his story. I couldn't understand a word of what he was saying. And then when we finally found someone when we were eating food, which his daughter served us on the charpoy, about what he was trying to tell us, I was overwhelmed by the story. And I first broke the story on the joyofgiving.net. And I said, this is Dashrath Manjhi, the mountain man, who actually moved a mountain. He moved a mountain, he moved an entire mountain. He created a road which is 18 kilometers long. Not with a tractor, not with a bulldozer, not with a earth mover, but with one hammer and one chisel. And I can proudly tell you that I've held the hammer and chisel in my hand. And that took me on my next quest, which is how do we celebrate these ordinary people who are unsung heroes? Because these are the people who are really sharing and spreading the joy of giving, the real joy of giving that I call it, right? And that's when we started a movement because we said to energize others, you need to be fully energized yourself. And I said, it's time to create something that recognizes unsung heroes. And we created another movement of the joy of giving called Right Every Wrong and some awards. And the first award was given to Dr. Varghese Kurian. How many of you know Dr. Varghese Kurian? Right? One man again. So it's the power of one. One man who created an entire revolution called Operation Flood, which was all about milk, the Amul story. And these are the kind of people that we wanted to bring to the fore because I think this is one man who really deserves the Bharat Ratna award, but the Bharat Ratna is being given to some celebrity or the other, but they have forgotten Dr. Varghese Kurian altogether. They have never given it to him till now, and I believe they won't give it to him because in the government circles is known as persona non grata because he took a stand during the emergency. That's also what happens to you when you take a stand because you stand for what is right. So that's Dr. Varghese Kurian's story. So these are the people I celebrate who are experiencing the real joy of giving. We started capturing the stories in books, and we started a book series called the Karma Kari series. And in Karma Kari we tell stories of very ordinary people from around the world who are making a big difference in our world. And that took me on my quest of finding and discovering those real heroes who are really experiencing the joy of giving. And in that quest, I found another person whose name is Lakshman Singh. Lakshman Singh, unlike many of you who are being highly educated in this campus, has never gone to school. He has never gone to school or college. But Lakshman Singh stays in a small hamlet called Laporia, which is around 60 kilometers from Jaipur, has transformed over 500 villages from wastelands into wetlands in a country where wetlands are being transformed into wastelands. And because of Lakshman Singh, over 500,000 people have a livelihood from agriculture and a life of dignity. I have visited some of these farmers who live off the land in which Lakshman Singh cultivates. And many of them have fancy villas, nice cars. Lakshman continues to stay in a small hut in a place called Lahori. Lakshman has also created an ecosystem, an environmental ecosystem, where 182 species of birds migrate every year. And guess what? Students from top universities from around the world who are pursuing their degrees in environmental engineering and agricultural science come to learn from Lakshman Singh in a small hut called Laporia, which is in Rajasthan. And while Lakshman is explaining to them on the small blackboard that he has how he does it, these guys are wondering what will they do with their fancy degrees once they get their graduation degrees. What will they do? So there's a big question over here. I deliberately asked you that question, that how many of you are receiving, being highly educated in this campus? And to quote what P. Sainath says, he says when people say they are highly educated, what they actually mean is that they're being extensively educated. I have a friend called Anil Prabhakar, who's my schoolmate and a professor at IIT. He says Jerry Sainath is absolutely right. In fact, I'll go a step further. When people even say they're educated, what they mean is they're actually educated. Their education could far. Because education is not just about a career, but also about understanding what are we going to do to become contributors. How will we fulfill our fundamental duties when we don't even know our fundamental duties? The Constitution of India very clearly says that if you want to enjoy your life, you need to fulfill your duties. And this is actually a message that I take out to educators. That don't teach children just to become career mules. Teach them to become contributors. Teach them to become people who do something to create a legacy of a better world. Right? Many of you said you are human beings. Any idea what the responsibility of a human being is? If you put your hands on my last question. So see, we are receiving a very high level of education and we don't know our responsibility of being a good human being. Right? Do we even have such a thing as the responsibility of a human being? Or am I just pulling your leg? So if we are not fulfilling our responsibilities as human beings and as citizens of India, who's to blame? It's very easy to say, देश कितना गंदा है. गंदा है? किसके वजह से गंदा है? It's not because of any prime minister or because of any government. The country is not clean because of you and me, the citizens of India. And people keep complaining and whining about how the country is not doing so well. I just want to get my degree and move to the United States. Right? And then everything will be hunky-dory. Good. But who's going to do something for this country? And why are you complaining when you've not picked up the broom and done something to clean the city or clean your neighborhood? So it becomes a mindset, it becomes an attitude, it becomes a behavior. And that behavior slowly creeps into our personal lives. And that's exactly what happens with people about their own lives. They live in apathy even about their own lives. They're indifferent about what happens. They become routine. They don't go for extraordinary. They settle for ordinary. So be careful of the trap. Right? And that's what we do with kids. Educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all. This is what Aristotle said. Right? So what is the real joy of giving? The real joy of giving is basically understanding the concept of service, understanding the concept of voluntary. And what disheartens me is that while we've taken all the mindless, frivolous practices of the West, we've not taken their best practices. We've taken their pop culture, we've taken their reality shows, we've taken their cheerleaders, but we've not taken their concept of voluntary, we've not taken their concept of service. You will see 7-year-olds selling lemonade, selling cookies to raise funds for their favorite cause on the streets of America or Europe. In India, we see 7-year-olds doing item numbers in Indian Idol shows. Who's responsible for this culture? It's not the government of India. This culture is being developed by the people of India. Because the entire concept of success has been reduced to fame and fortune, not contribution. Because if you dance on the Indian Idol show and do an item number, then everything will be fine. And these are the same parents then who also cry out against crimes against women, when crimes against women happen. So there's some kind of hypocrisy happening in the society. And that hypocrisy, I tell you, is not because of anybody in government, this is because of us. In our Crusader circles, we have a simple saying, हमारा देश महान नहीं है, पर इसमें दोष हमारा है, और किसी का नहीं। हमारा देश महान नहीं है, पर इसमें दोष हमारा है. And the truth of India is that instead of accepting that something is wrong in our country, whenever we are told that something is wrong in our country, we say Pakistan को देखो. Why should we benchmark ourselves with Pakistan? Champions don't compete with others, they compete with themselves by understanding where they need to improve. So that's a life lesson for you. Never ever feel that you are the best and the most perfect thing in life because you're highly educated. There's no such thing as best. Being perfect or the best is the biggest lie of the world. The truth of the world is continuous improvement. And if you're not continuously improving your game, you will be in the box very soon. So keep continuously improving. Don't just rely on your degree. The degree is not going to be worth much very soon. It's all about your character. And this is what research has proven. That it's not your talent and competence, but your character that takes you beyond. So if you really want to go beyond, you have to really work on a very strong character. And that's what volunteering helps you to do, right? It teaches you all life, leadership, and learning to learn lessons. By the way, learning to learn is one of the most essential skills of the future, as discovered by several think tanks. It teaches you family focus, it teaches you community, right? Earlier you heard some presentations where people were talking about focus. And after a lot of research, we've discovered that what this focus is all about is what we've been doing with sports people when we coach them. And I call the concept very simply evolving mindful consciousness, which basically in a nutshell means I'll never be the best. I'll continuously evolve. Every day that I wake up is an opportunity to be a better version of myself from what I was yesterday. If I'm not doing that, I'll be stagnating very soon. And that's what the joy of giving helps you to do. It brings out the best in you. Because that's what service helps you to understand. How do you build on your emotional intelligence skills? How do you build on your empathy skills? And this is the learning that we're taking to schools now. We've created this thing. Whenever I ask this question, who am I, in a coaching class or a coaching session, I love the answers people give me because they don't have an answer to this. Most people have never thought about this. I would say 90% of the world walks through this world without even going here. And one person around 2 months ago in a forum told me, I'm God's creation. And I'm like, okay, very nice. And I looked at him very seriously and I asked him, I said, you have no parents? And he said, why, sir? I said, well, you said you're God's creation. If you have parents, give them some credit. They created you. Right? So you have to be cognizant of what this is all about. When you're leaving things to God and some religion won't work. You've got to take charge of your life. You've got to understand that you are the creator of your own destiny. You are the creator of your life. And that's what the joy of giving helps you to understand again. And this is the entire learning that we've created. But before wrapping up, let me just explain to you one more thing. Which is, when I started the joy of giving, I used to always tell people that when you give more, you gain more. You gain much more than what you give. And this has been proven by neuroscience now. A lot of people are just not content with their lives. They're just not happy with their lives because they're always living somebody else's life. They're living the neighbor's life, or the richer cousin's life, or the richer colleague's life who's got a better car than them. And in that process, they end up messing up their whole life and becoming discontent and unhappy. And also this entire concept of the pursuit of happiness, which is all based on materialistic things, is what they've been selling us through our entire life. And there's no such thing as the pursuit of happiness, because the happiness lies within you, and neuroscience has proven this. These are the happiness chemicals, and you can simply remember them with an acronym called dosage. And each acronym stands for a word, which is a chemical. D is for dopamine. Dopamine is the achievement chemical. So here's your mantra to achieve happiness every day in life. Yeah, listen to this very carefully. Dopamine is the achievement chemical. Your dopamine gets produced and processed when you achieve something. So when you get a degree or you win a game, you see that the dopamine level surges and you feel good. Till such time that the downer happens. So the dopamine surges are not very good. They lead to mental illness problems. What's the best way to produce and process dopamine every day? The best way to produce and process dopamine every day is by learning something new every day. Because then your brain automatically registers that you have achieved something new today. And learning something new every day takes 10 to 15 minutes. You don't have to go far. You can just open your smartphones and really make them smart. By reading some research paper on academia or ResearchGate or watching a nice video which gives you some learning. Because then your brain processes that you learned something new, and that's a big achievement for you on a daily basis. So the dopamine gets produced. Oxytocin and serotonin are the contribution and connection chemicals. So now that you learned something new, what can I contribute? And the best contribution that you can make in any person's life is time, because all of us have limited time, and knowledge, because very few people share knowledge, and that's what helps you to build relationships of trust. So when you share the learning that you have received with someone, you made a contribution and you made a connection, and you also get to learn something from them in return. So that's how the oxytocin and the serotonin gets produced in your brain and processed in your brain. A is Anandamai. Anandamai comes from a Sanskrit word. It's a chemical which has been discovered recently. And Anandamai produces the same chemical naturally in the body which cannabis produces. Right? You know cannabis, marijuana, right? It's produced within the body naturally. So Anandamai is so named because it's called the bliss chemical. So what's the best way to produce Anandamai? You eat bitter chocolate, you eat the right vegetables which produce the right fatty acids, and that produces Anandamai in your brain. Chi is not a chemical. Chi is gratitude, what we call as the attitude of gratitude. Be grateful for what you have. Many people, and I meet all of them, and I sincerely believe in what Frederick Douglass said, that it is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. Most people are not grateful for their life. They're always complaining, always whining. Jerry, when I get that promotion, I will be happy. And I'm like, dude, why aren't you enjoying your life right now? You have so much with you. Enjoy that. Why are you always contemplating what you don't have? So be grateful for what you have. Be grateful that you woke up today. Be grateful that you are alive today. Many people did not wake up today. And now that you've woken up today, how can I be better today than what I was yesterday? And that will change your entire process on a daily basis, I promise you. And E is endorphins, the energy chemicals. And endorphins are produced by simply exercising, living the right lifestyle, physical exercise. And the best way to produce endorphins, they say, is to jump on the trampoline or run. And that's the happiness within. That's the secret of happiness. And that's what the joy of giving gives to you in return. The big benefit is that it creates happiness for you. You're emotionally, mentally, spiritually, morally, and physically healthy, right? So that's what the joy of giving is all about. So do joy of giving in the right way, because your brain picks up most things unconsciously. You cannot fool the brain just by giving a small check and posting on Facebook or Twitter that I have done this, I have done that. Won't create happiness, because your brain works unconsciously and it knows whether you've truly done what you did sincerely or just as bragging rights. And that's what the joy of giving messages to all of you. Please contribute, please make a difference, because this world belongs to you, this country belongs to you, it belongs to all of us. And the responsibility of a human being is, how do I create or preserve the earth to be as good or better than the one that I came into? How do I create a better earth than the one I came into, or at least preserve the earth to be as good as the one I came into? Not because it is altruistic, not because it is charity, but because your future generations will also live in the same earth. So it's actually selfish, because my children will live in the same earth. And if I'm not leaving behind a good earth for them, there's no one to blame. We spoke about climate change earlier. Who's to blame? Climate change is not because of the government of the United States of America or some European countries or India. Climate change is because of mindless consumerism, which is indulged in by you and me. So I think what we need to do is stop being career mules and consumers and become contributors. Understand how can we reduce the carbon footprint, how can we make a difference by exercising our power of one. Thank you so much.